let's talk about Miss Earth USA. Wow, what a great show. Honestly, I'm so happy for this entire organization and the production and Laura Clark and for all the work that she puts in, because I judged this pageant in 2019 and I've just seen it grow so much in terms of production and what they can offer for their title holders. So very excited about that. Also, thank you, Laura, for giving me access to these clips that I'm able to share with everyone. I appreciate that. First, I want to say that there was a really nice flow to the show. Honestly, I felt like the pacing of it was really nice. I really appreciated the high quality commercials that were placed throughout this production. I thought that was really beautiful. And frankly, this is what I think Miss America should have done for their stream. Instead of having the hosts fill, allow the hosts, allow the contestants, allow the judges to sit, take a break, allow your audience to get up and use the restroom, and then just fill your stream with these little mini commercials and breaks instead of having the hosts fill the entire time. I have to commend them on the camera shots for this show too. Are these drone shots? Just look at these angles. We don't even get these angles at Miss USA. What in the world, okay? And then I love that they brought out dancers for the beginning of the show. That was so fun. It really kind of gets the audience going. Other thing to notice is that the audience were sitting in round tables instead of stadium type seating. And I believe that they also do round tables at Miss International. And someone let me know, but is there food at Miss International? And was there food at Miss Earth USA? I forgot to pay attention to that while I was watching. But frankly, I love the idea of food and pageants. We should just make that a thing. The ladies all looked really great too in their introduction shots. I loved that. The ones that were shot on the beach, very pretty. Of course, I got to shout out my friend Brittany Ann Payne for hosting the show. Always proud of her. Gosh, we probably met in 2015. She is one of the funniest girls I know. I love her. I miss her. Love you, Brittany. Great job. One thing I want to mention about Earth USA that makes it unique are the areas of competition. So the contestants are competing with a video entrance, social media, interview, runway, swim, gown, and then when I was judging, I thought that there was some sort of award at least for photogenic, something like that. So there's a lot. And I feel like because there's such a big breakdown of the score, you really do need to be quite well-rounded, but it's also helpful in a way where if you're not really strong in one area of competition, since there's so many others that you're being scored on, you can kind of make up for that to at least move yourself into a semifinal. For this show, the first cut was at the 20, and the 20 recompete for Runway, so here are my thoughts. California was a little bit pageanty, and that makes sense because she's a former national All-American Miss title holder. So she's coming from youth pageants. Also, her sister was Miss Florida Teen USA, so very successful pageant family here. But overall, she still did really great, and honestly, Jaira is just so stunning. She's so stunning. Colorado was beautiful and I liked her, but she was a bit bouncy too. And also she tended to tilt her head one way the entire time. So that was a little distracting for me. Connecticut, really nice opening spin turn here. Great legs. Hair looks fantastic. So beautiful. She was giving me facial expression changes. I was really proud of her because we worked together for her interview prep, but I didn't get to see her walk until this. And I was like, oh my gosh, beautiful, lovely. I love this for you. Florida is gorgeous, but I do feel like her poses were pretty safe, and then she kept one expression the entire time. I really feel like her performances could have been enhanced with some facial expression changes. Kentucky is pretty, but she was bouncing in her walk and she was bouncing in her poses, and actually that is my overarching note for most of the contestants here. I saw so much bouncing and I don't understand why. My guess is because many of the contestants are competing first in youth pageants, so they're competing when they were little girls, and it's okay to bounce a little bit more when you're a little girl, but then when we get into those Miss divisions, ladies, we really gotta scale that back. I don't understand who keeps reinforcing the bouncing or who is not stopping it. I don't know who y'all ladies are working with for your walk, but your coach should be helping you to smooth out that bouncing. If they're not, they're really doing you a disservice. I really want you to think about winners. Think about winning Miss Earths. Think about winning Miss Universes, winning Miss Worlds. When do you see them bouncing in and out of their poses and in their walks? Let me give you an example. Ladies, I'm seeing a lot of this. The other time I see it a lot is in pivots. Let's avoid the level changes. We don't have to. Instead, ladies, you can just step forward and pivot. Same thing for our poses, like this. That whole I don't know what you're stepping over. We don't need to do this every single time. We don't need to, just smooth and simple. We don't have to change our levels. Michigan seemed a little nervous. What a shame. She's such a beautiful contestant. And I really feel like her facial expression changes were quite abrupt. So just smoothing those out would help. And also I feel like a thicker eyebrow would really complement her face. That's just a little thought. Mississippi, oh my gosh, she had like that Crystal Stewart face on stage, like the most beautiful smile, absolutely stunning. The walk, the poses, the confidence, for me, it was all there. She was immediately one of my favorites. New Jersey, I like the approach. I like what we're aiming for. I just wish a little less of that rib movement in the walk. New York, I love the energy. I love the confidence. I love the face. Honestly, she was doing so well. I would just relax the shoulders a little bit more. And then when she exited out of her pivot, she bounced a little bit. I would just smooth it out. And by the way, when I judge pageants, if I'm ever your judge and you're like, how could I have scored better? Well, did you bounce? If you bounced, I'm deducting points. Pennsylvania was also giving me glitz arms, but I do appreciate the spin turn and that she was really feeling herself. So it's kind of like that earns you a couple more points. Southwest is very pretty, but I feel overall the walk just needs more work. Tennessee looked so cute. To me, she was coming across as a little bit teen, and the bouncing in the walk didn't help that. Texas, to me, stunning. And she also had a really confident walk and a nice exiting spin turn. So she's also Texas. Kind of expect that. Vermont, beautiful eyes, good walk and posing transitions. I would just spot the judges a little bit more and get a little bit more creative with the poses. She can change things up a little. Wisconsin was really cute. She was clapping for the girl ahead of her, and she just seemed so sweet. I will say her hair was a look. It did make her stand out, and just the walk itself, I felt like it was quite Catriona inspired, especially because she's a Filipina. I'm not sure if that's what she was going for, but it was kind of giving me that she was aiming for Catriona. I'm not going to get into the contestant videos that were played because when I was watching it, they were kind of cutting in and out. I just hope the judges were able to hear everything, but from what I did hear, these ladies were so impressive with all of their advocacies, and I love that. Now we cut down to a top 15. Let's talk about these performances for swim. I do have to say that I think that the swimsuits were really cute on everybody. Super cute idea, and the capes. Let's talk about California. I think that this performance for her was better than her runway performance. I really, really liked it, and of course, like, that's never a bad thing, right? We just don't want anything to get worse, but like getting better, I have no problems with. She was really beautiful, still stunning, and I just felt like this was such a strong moment for her. Colorado did a great job. Honestly, she's solid. She's a contestant that's like, yeah, of course we're going to advance her, but that head tilt, I would encourage her to keep the head up. Connecticut, honestly, really nice cape drop here. Okay, like I said, this is my first time seeing her do her walk, so I was really, really happy with this, and I was happy with her hair and makeup. Overall, job very well done. I would have advanced her as well. Florida is just stunning. I just was hoping for more facial expression changes, but literally she's so beautiful. It's like, oh, and her routine was good. Like, she's got a good routine. She's confident. The only thing I want more are facial changes. So in that case, it's like, okay, I'm still gonna push you forward. I still like you enough. Michigan needs to just attack that walk and work on the confidence. And honestly, that's not just the walking practice itself. It's in here. Mississippi, that opening cape throw, I don't have much to say. I just love her. She was advancing for me. New York was just my confident queen. This was a great walk, a great performance. She added a little shimmy in there too in her pose. It was so subtle, but she was so cute and I loved it. Southwest had a nice little cape flip. I thought that this performance was stronger than Runway, and that this hair, for some reason, it was so complimentary for this area of competition. It looked so good on her. Tennessee, I want her to close the mouth a little bit more and not to bounce into poses. This was a fun performance from Texas, and I feel like she can only get away with it because this wasn't broadcast, so she really took her time for this. She had great facial expression changes. She took the time to take extra poses, and then she even caught that side camera that was up in the air somewhere, and I don't even think most contestants caught it, but she did. And it was just a great thing to watch. Wisconsin, she did a great job here. Once again, I felt like this was very Catriona inspired. Her swimsuit was even tied in a way that made her stand out. She looked different from the other contestants. And I feel like here she had some great pivots and facial expression changes, and something about seeing her in swim, she looked just extra tall, and I feel like Earth really loves their tall queens. They really do. In the past, they had a height requirement or a height minimum at the national pageant, then they got rid of that. And I don't know if that still stands though at the international level. It's interesting. Now we cut to a top 10. California, I didn't like this gown choice. There was just so much going on. I just didn't feel like it was really doing anything for her, but I loved the performance. She was smooth, she was elegant, she was soaking everything in. A nice moment at the end of the runway, and for that reason, personally, I still would have advanced her. Colorado, I really feel like the gown helped her here. She looks so stunning. She was doing really, really well throughout the competition. She was very solid the entire time. Personally, she would have been on my edge for a top 5, but I feel like this gown and performance sent her over the top. This is the first time I saw Connecticut's gown on her, and this was the gown that I've talked about so much because essentially it was my vision for Miss Universe years ago. But we saw this gown on Baguio at Miss Universe Philippines, and it's a beautiful gown. This is the Portia and Scarla remake of it, I would assume. Now, I don't think that this gown needed to have the sleeves. It was just a little bit extra for me. I also felt like she needed a little bit more posture in this performance. She did well, but it could be improved. I didn't think that she needed the hair flip at the end, and I just feel like she needed just a little bit more to make it into that top 5, although I loved her throughout the whole competition. Florida's gown was a really beautiful color on her, although the gown style itself wasn't incredibly unique. Florida made a great choice when it comes to color for her gown, but we have seen similar styles like this before. I do feel like, though, in this dress she could have taken longer strides and, of course, more facial expression changes. It's my same note, but I still loved her. She's still stunning, and she's a doctor on top of that. Mississippi. This gown to me was like the Bob Mackie version of Deshauna's Sherry Hill gown that she won in, and I loved it, honestly. She looked gorgeous. I think that there was a little bit of tension in her shoulders, which is understandable because this is going to be a very, very heavy gown to walk in. Ladies, it's not easy. Think twice before you commit to this type of fringe. And I also feel like the gown itself was shortening her steps, so that wasn't really helping her performance, but she did such a great job overcoming all of that, and of course, still stunning. Stunning. New York, I didn't love this gown choice for her, but honestly, it's the confidence for me. It's the confidence. But I do feel like a different gown could have helped her advance. Texas, oh my goodness. This gown is a lot. Okay, this is a heavy gown. This is not a gown I would recommend if you're new to pageants and you don't feel confident with your walk. This is tough. But she had a really nice little side step down the stairs. She did such a great job carrying this. And she had a great smile transition here. I really think that she pulled this off. This was tough to do, but she did it. She looked incredible. Wisconsin in green, of course. And also, as I was filming this, I realized I'm wearing green for this episode. Not even on purpose. But she really was the one that surprised me. I would say that she had a nice little cape throw here, and that I like the little hand drag up the waist. It was just a nice subtle touch that she did, and it doesn't always go well, like those slow exaggerated hands, but here it was working. It was well practiced. I like the hair change. I like the over the shoulder look for her. It worked, and so did that posture. I must say she really kept that chest up, and that's something that I love to see in performances, and she nailed that part for me. Now we have the top 5, and they were allowed to give a final statement. They could say whatever they want in 30 seconds, and here's what they all had to share. Let's talk about it. Wisconsin talked about, despite 142 million people being displaced by climate change, over the past 6 years, she has worked with refugee communities, and if crowned, she'd like to use the platform to amplify voices of vulnerable and underserved. She'd like to use her contacts that she's already built. Also, she talked about that she's a Filipina. She's spoken Tagalog, I believe. I don't know if she's fluent, but she did share a little bit. And she was honestly so at ease for all of this. And so she had great things to say. I feel like what really made a difference for her, though, was the way that she delivered this. This was one of the most natural speech presentations I've seen in a while, and I appreciate that. Texas shared that as a model and a queen that she's involved in fashion. She's an environmentalist and aware of the impact that fashion has, so she created a social initiative for sustainable fashion. Now, she asked everyone to close their eyes for a minute and ask themselves, if Earth could speak, what would it tell us? She said, I think it would implore us to reconsider the environmental toll of our choices. She closed by saying she looks forward to carrying the legacy of past queens of the organization. Now, I feel like this one got a little too long, and she started to sound a little bit winded, which happens when we get nervous. So ladies, it's so important to start practicing some breathing exercises. Colorado, love her smile here, she said that 2024 is her year of yes, that she's a global cleanup ambassador, that she hosts cleanups. She also mentioned that she competed as a teen and that she'll say yes to every opportunity the title brings. Now, here's one thing, and it's kind of one of my pet peeves in pageantry. It's whenever a contestant throws this in her answer. Typically, this has to do when contestants are asked, why should we pick you or why should you win? And a lot of girls will often say, I will take advantage of every opportunity this year that's made available to me. And I just hear that answer so much. What I would much rather hear as a judge is, what opportunity are you actually looking forward to? In your head, what opportunity is something that you foresee happening in your year that you would like to take advantage of? Mississippi. She says that I'm going to ask everyone to imagine holding a dandelion, imagine blowing and watching the petals flow away. She said, like the petals, I believe our core values can spread the worth of the Earth organization just like the dandelion spread its petals. I kind of get where she's going here with the metaphor and telling people a story in a way. Halfway through, it did seem like she got a little derailed and got caught off guard, but then she sort of found her way back to that. And I just feel like in this case, the dandelion metaphor, it just wasn't grabbing people. It wasn't powerful enough to shift their opinion about her, really, in this case, the judge's opinion, convince them that she should be the winner. California said millions live in unsafe air quality. It causes over 100,000 premature deaths. She created Project Breath to negate products of air pollution. I believe that I'll leave behind a legacy with my leadership skills and a servant's heart. Now, she had a really great smile here, and this was great. I do feel like she just got lost in the mix a little bit. I think it would have been a little bit different if maybe the evening gown really made her stand out and made her like, oh my gosh, I can't stop looking at her and I can't stop thinking about her. She's so memorable. I feel like in that way, evening gowns can help us in a competition. Of course, it's not going to be everything. But I feel like there wasn't anything in the speech that was particularly swaying for the judges if they felt like they were on the edge between her and any other contestant. Also, Danielle's evening gown for her farewell was so stunning, and I believe it's the one that she wore to Earth. It's an incredible evening gown. I don't know who made it. In fact, I saw a picture of her in it online, and I tried to figure out if the designer was tagged or commented, and I didn't see them tagged or commented, or else I would have shared. But I thought it was a great gown. Now, remember, in this pageant, we don't have runners-up. We have an elemental court, so to speak. So the titles are Miss Eco, and that went to Mississippi, and that kind of surprised me. I did feel like they would have announced her a little bit later in this lineup, and I feel like it was because she kind of stumbled a little bit, and it seems like maybe they cared. I'm not positive. Then we had Fire, and that was Colorado. Honestly, like I said, great presentation. But that answer at the end became a little bit generic. And then Water was California, and that made a lot of sense. She was super consistent and on-stage answer, sounding good at the end. Texas was Air, so she was in that last top two in that moment, and Texas was super competitive the entire time. Of course, our new Miss Earth USA is Wisconsin, and I have such a good feeling about her. I feel like she really gives me Earth vibes. Like really, really Earth vibes. I feel like she has potential. I think that Laura and her team are going to be able to give her a lot of tools to help her prepare for Earth this upcoming year. She just seems to have that really natural beauty that they appreciate at Earth. If you look, like, yes, her eyes really stood out, but she had a neutral, or I guess you could say a nude lip on stage, so nothing was very overdone. Her whole look was quite clean, more fresh, really, really beautiful. Overall, a great competitor, so I can't wait to see her continue to grow and see what she does at Miss Earth. And by the way, don't forget to check out my most recent Miss Earth recap. I'd really appreciate that if you enjoyed this one. But thank you for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the show. Please share that in the comments and be respectful to one another. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode, and I hope to see you very soon.